Senator, well, both senators, the House has indicated that they want to wait for a study to be completed that the Ohio Retirement Study Council initiated, and that's not expected, I think, until later this summer. How's that influence what's going on here?
Well, it's my position that we need to take action now on the proposal that the plans have had before us for, I believe, almost 3 years now.
So not wait for that
and
study?
Not wait for that study. One of the things we know about pension plans is that as the economy changes, as the economic situation changes, as the number of retirees changes, you will always have to go back and revisit the plans to make sure that they are maintaining solvency and providing the services that their members expect. So at some point in the future, whether it's 6 months from now, 2 years from now, we'll be revisiting the plans to take into account changes that are out of our control. And it's very likely that if the study comes back with recommendations, there will be ample opportunity to review those. But we don't want to wait for one more study when we know there are changes that we can make today that will have a positive impact today.
Have you talked with Leader Budish or Speaker Batchelder about this?
I have been speaking to Speaker Batchelder for the past at least 2 months, if not 3, about my desire to move pension reform prior to leaving for our summer break. And he has been very clear on his intentions, but again, I felt it was important to take this first step to demonstrate that there is bipartisan support. This is not a partisan issue. We need to be looking out for the best interests of the retirees and the members of these plans, and that's why I decided to move forward today.
If I could add to that, I want to compliment President Niehaus for stepping forward and taking this bold step, which is really the responsible thing to do. Think of it this way. If we were to do nothing, that would be a continued loss of $2 million a day, and that's for all of the pension funds that we're here talking about. And so, if I could just finish. So, I think that taking an action, taking this step based upon the data that we've received from the boards of the pension systems is the prudent path and the best path. To answer the second part of your question, I have spoken with Leader Budish and explained to him my desire to work with President Niehaus on this issue and our caucus's belief that this is the better path.
So if the House holds this up, they're to blame for $2 million a day in costs?
Well, it's not my job to assign blame. That's not what I do.
Senator Niehaus, it has taken 3 years to get to this point. And it sounds like what I'm hearing you guys say today is significantly different than the political rhetoric that's been used on pension reform maybe in the last couple of years, where the Republicans have said there's not going to be a taxpayer bailout for the pensions, even though they've never been asking for a bailout. The plans presented today are almost identical to the plans that they presented 3 years ago. So why is there a change in tone? Why is it that now you're coming forward as bipartisan, whereas 2.5 years ago, it sounded very partisan? Even Senator Faber referred to the pension systems as a Ponzi scheme.
Well, there are a lot of different opinions about the plans and how to proceed. And I'm not going to offer any excuses for inaction over the past 3 years. But what I am saying is that it is time to take action now. And we can and will work with the plans as partners. They have been fully engaged in this process. When I first approached them some 2 months ago, they were frankly excited about the opportunity of moving forward with the initiative and wanted to consider any possible changes that would make their plans stronger. And I applaud them for that. But I'm focused more on the future, not on the past. And we have an opportunity to change the future today. And so that's the step that we're taking.
If these plans, this legislation is essentially what the pension plans want, are you not going to be entertaining amendments to it or changes during the legislative process or the hearing process in the Senate?
We will go through the same legislative process, and we will entertain amendments. It's very possible we could have amendments from the plans themselves. My commitment, and I think Senator Kearney shares this commitment, we want to pass the plans that the plans they have asked us for. So whatever the provisions are that the people with the fiduciary responsibility is to manage these pension plans, whatever their requests are, we're going to try to provide them with those tools so they can effectively manage the resources that they have.
What's not ready about the highway patrol plan? Why is it not? I mean, their board has drawn out the solvency plan, so what's holding that up in the process right now?
Well, if you could think back to when I made my initial statements about the pension reform, there were several conditions that I stipulated. One, that it had to be bipartisan. It's obvious that this is bipartisan by leader Kearney being here today. Two, that we were only going to pass the plans that the plans asked us for, so we've met that condition. Three, that they had to demonstrate stakeholder support. And I think the Highway Patrol was working very closely with their stakeholder groups to show that they have support. They weren't ready for that today, but I'm hopeful that they will be ready in a few days or a week so that we'll have time to act on their plan. But it's that third element of stakeholder buy-in and support. You know, understand, we're asking these members to make some tough choices. And I think that Leader Kearney said, well, no one likes the changes, you know, because we're asking people to give something up. But they understand they must make changes to protect the plans and protect benefits like health care. And I think Highway Patrol will get to that point. I'm just not sure when that will be.
Why is, these are introduced as 4 different pieces of legislation, why not one piece? Is there significant differences between what the plans are asking that can be handled in one?
There are differences between each of the plans, and that's why this afternoon in sponsor testimony we will have the directors giving the details of each of the plans. It also reflects the fact that you know, up until today, each of the plans were in a different place in terms of their level of support from stakeholders. And so we did not want to jeopardize, you know, one plan, or let's say jeopardize 5 plans or 4 plans if one plan wasn't ready. So by separating it, we allow the groups to focus on their stakeholders, meet their needs, and we can be responsive to them as well.
Is your plan to allow future benefit reductions without legislative approval? That's not part of this agreement between you and Senator Kearney?
No, there were some additional tools that we asked the plans to consider. Each of the plans looked at it a little bit differently, and so the proposals they have before us today, I believe some have asked for that, others have not. So it's in some, but not in others. Again, these are very individualized plans to meet the specific needs of their stakeholders.
One thing that I like about this approach that President Niehaus and I are moving forward on is that there's a balance. So President Niehaus laid out his 3 criteria, but that creates a balance. So there's what the boards have said that they want done, and then there's the retirees or the stakeholders, and they've expressed their opinions about it. So the legislation has created a balance, and typically when you have a balance like that, when you have bipartisan legislation, that is indicative of something that has long-standing value and that will carry the day.